Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Bible, one book, one verse at a time. Today we're going to be looking at the book of 1 Thessalonians. Now this is a book that it's important to know some of the background in, and some of that background comes from Acts as Paul goes around on his missionary journey. Now the story we have of Paul going into Thessalonica, it's actually a really short little story, and it happens between Paul being in Philippi and then in Berea and then moving on to Athens. And it starts with a story where Paul goes into the city and then he engages with the people in the synagogue, the Jews and the Greeks who were there, and convinces so many that Jesus was the Messiah. But then there's a number who oppose him, who, just like Paul used to think that this Jesus was a pretender, wasn't really the Son of God, and was making false claims about himself and what he came to do. And so they get angry and then they incite a mob. And there's this riot within Thessalonica that actually causes some problems for Paul, for Silas, and for the people that they're staying with, one named Jason. They actually can't find Paul and Silas, so they haul Jason before this tribunal and they accuse them of being the kind of people that say there's another king that's not Caesar. So they accuse them of political sedition. The authorities take a security deposit from Jason, send him home, and then Paul and Silas are quietly sent away in the middle of the night. Now, Paul is nervous and worried about these believers that are left back in Thessalonica, so he sends Timothy there at some point in order to check up on them. And then when Timothy comes back to Paul and shares with some of the things that are going on, then Paul writes this letter that we call the 1 Thessalonians. Now, much like many of Paul's letters, this letter is full of thanksgiving and prayers for this particular community, this recognition that it's not easy to be a follower of Jesus, especially in a place where the people around you are not followers of Jesus. But this is also full of the expectation of Christ's return and the ways in which the resurrection from the dead and the new kingdom that will come from Jesus and with Jesus is such a huge benefit and blessing to us now. We have great comfort knowing that Jesus has been raised from the dead and that those who follow him will also be raised from the dead. This is one of those verses where Paul talks about that we don't need to mourn as those who have no hope. This is in 1 Thessalonians 4, verse 13. We don't want you to be uninformed, brothers and sisters, concerning those who have fallen asleep or who have passed away, so that you will not grieve like the rest who have no hope. Since we believe that Jesus died and rose again, in the same way God will bring with him those who have fallen asleep through Jesus. So it seems that in this community, much like many Christian communities, much like our Christian communities, there are those who pass away, even though they have faith in God. And over the past 2,000 years, many people have. And this message then is such good comfort for us, the knowledge that they are not lost. And so we mourn and we grieve and we are sad that they are gone, but we don't grieve as those who have no hope of seeing them again, no hope of knowing that they are with God and they will be there in the new creation. And so this hope can be a blessing to you as well. As you think about the losses that maybe you have experienced in your life, may you know that you may grieve, but do not grieve as those without hope.